Good evening, and welcome to Let's Talk with Lakshmee, a show about us, our people, our community, our culture, our experiences. And today, viewers, I'm very proud and privileged to bring on a young and talented filmmaker, writer, and director, Mr. Mason Richards. So Mason, I'm so excited to have you on the show. I've heard great reviews about you and, of course, your work. More exciting, as I know you are born in Guyana. Tell our viewers a little bit about where you're from in Guyana.
Well, I want to say thank you, first of all, for having me on your show. I mean, I've heard great things about your show.
Oh, thank you.
And it's great that you're just all over, and I'm really happy to be here. And to, be able to speak and be around, the Guyanese community. I was born in Georgetown.
Okay.
In Campbellville, and I spent my time between Campbellville and Kitty with my parents and my grandparents.
So I know you came to the States at a very young age, around 7, right? And you went back to Guyana for the first time to shoot SEAWALL.
Yes.
Right. So tell me first, how exactly did you get into the arts of filmmaking?
Well, my family moved from Guyana when I was 7, and we grew up in Brooklyn. We lived in Brooklyn, and at the age of like 12, 13, in junior high school in Brooklyn, I got involved in a theater company called the City Kids Repertory. And it was basically young people doing performances and having dialogue about social issues.
Okay.
And I knew then that I wanted to be in the arts. I wanted to be an actor, maybe. But I think the older I got, directing sort of came up later on.
Okay. Now, being so young, coming from Guyana, and wanting to go into the arts, filmmaking, I mean, normally you don't really hear too much of that from people leaving Guyana and coming here. How supportive was your family?
That's a great question. I think, the expectation is when you come from Guyana to America is that you're coming for a better life. You're coming to go to school and to get a job and, to do a lot of, great things and to succeed and support your family. And I always wanted to do that, but I was an artist. I always knew since I was a little boy, like I was interested in telling stories, in movies. When I was a little boy, my father would take us every Tuesday to the Starlight movie theater, drive-in movie theater. The whole family would pile up in a car, drive down to SEAWALL, and watch these movies. It used to be like black and white, like Abbott and Costello films. And I knew then that I wanted to be in the arts. I just knew I like films. But as a kid in Guyana, I didn't know how to do that. Like I didn't know what that meant.
Right. Now, growing up and going and seeing these movies, did you have a favorite actor, or even at that time, did you know, like, who a film producer was?
I knew about Sidney Poitier. Like I knew that one of my favorite films that I saw as a kid in Guyana was To Sir with Love with Sidney Poitier, and he was one of the first person of color, a man of color in a position of power that I saw on the big screen, and somewhere that like I just knew like that's something I wanted to do.
So Mason, I know you are the recipient of the 2012 Sony Pictures. Tell me about that award.
Yes, it's amazing. Like, so Sony Pictures awards a fellowship to one filmmaker a year that they feel who's promising in the field. And I was so lucky to win it this past year for 2012 through a program called Film Independent. And Film Independent is an organization based in Los Angeles, in California, that works with some of the newest talent in filmmaking. And Sony, they saw my film, The SEAWALL, and saw a bunch of other projects I've done, and they selected me for this award, which basically is a cash award, and it comes with a year of mentoring on whatever projects I'm working on. So I'm hoping, so with that, I've been working on making the feature film version of the SEAWALL with that.
Now, tell us a little bit about SEAWALL. Like, what is it about? What inspired you to go back home to film this?
Well, the SEAWALL, we all know about the SEAWALL.
Yes.
You know about the SEAWALL. The SEAWALL is the long strip of the man-made structure that protects Guyana from flooding because Guyana is below sea level. And I remember as a kid always going there with my family on Sundays. You know, I remember flying my kite there as a kid.
Okay, for Easter.
On Easter. I remember just having a lot of really rich memories in Guyana from the SEAWALL. And even my grandmother talked a lot about when she was a girl, going there, getting dressed up on Sundays, you know, with her father and with her family. And that still happens in Guyana today.
Yes,
It's a little
of course.
different. It's a little different, but it still happens. So the one thing that struck me about the SEAWALL is that the SEAWALL also protects or blocks Guyana from the rest of the world, right? It's sort of like a window from the rest of the world, from America and everything else. So when I left Guyana at age 7, I felt like I left something behind, like I left a part of me behind in Guyana. And like I said, I never went back until I went to make the film. And growing up in New York, growing up in Brooklyn, I always felt like there was something missing about my identity, right? About who I was. And I wanted to make a film about a boy leaving a beautiful country like Guyana and what it's like to leave that to go to something that's unknown, America.
So would you say SEAWALL is about yourself?
The film is what I call autofiction, so it's not autobiographical. It's sort of based loosely on my memory of growing up, but I think it's not my story. I mean, I wrote the script. It's a narrative, so it's everybody's story. You know, it's every story of every immigrant, every person that left Guyana to go to Canada, London, New York, to have a new life. So I wrote the story, certainly thinking about my experience leaving, but I wanted it to be a narrative film about transformation and about a sense of abandonment, leaving something behind. Like when you immigrate to a new country, you're leaving something behind, right? And you're leaving behind a lot of rich, beautiful culture, and I wanted to make a film about that. I wanted to talk about that.
So now that you visited Guyana after so many years, you went there. You're making this movie SEAWALL. Do you feel that you'll go back to Guyana?
Absolutely. I think when I went back to Guyana, after being gone for so long, I realized that.
What did you miss?
This is getting deep. It's getting deep because it's a part of me. You know, it's a part of my identity. And I came to America. I went to the best schools and went to a great school and got my master's and studied film. And when it became time to make a film about something important, I had to ask myself, like, what's the most important thing for me? And it was my identity.
Finding your roots.
Finding my roots. So going back to Guyana, it was tapping into some really, 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 really beautiful things. And unfortunately, what we hear a lot about Guyana in the news, it's not so great. And so I think for a lot of people, they don't want to go back, or they're hesitant about going back, or even tourists. They're like, I don't know if I want to go there, because you hear the negative things in Guyana about
the
murders, and just things, violence against women and children, and just crime, and to be honest, part of that kept me away from Guyana.
Okay.
But when I went back to make this film, and I took my crew, who were they're from Los Angeles and New York, they fell in love with the country, and they fell in love with the country that I fell in love with as a little boy. And I hope that people see that in the film, because it's rich with just a lot of greenery and colors and birds and wildlife, and Guyana has like 98% of the rainforest of the Amazon rainforest. 98% of that is intact, and no other country can boast that in the world.
It's very true.
In the world. So I really wanted to highlight that in the film. And make that the thing that this main character, is missing when he goes to New York, to Brooklyn, and he realizes, like, he there's something that he misses in Guyana, and I think we all miss. I mean, they're more Guyanese people living abroad, out of the country, than living in Guyana.
In Guyana, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
There are more of us living in London, in Canada, and other countries, in the United States, than the country. And I think the story resonates. I think I screened the film in France. I screened the film in London. I screened it in the U.S. And to Guyanese audiences, they were like, "Oh, this is I remember this. I remember that. This is I connect to this."
Mason, tell me a childhood memory that you had growing up. I mean, were you one of those boys that would climb trees, go jump in the trench? Tell me a memory that you had.
My greatest memories are from Guyana, growing up as a boy, are definitely playing cricket.
Okay.
Playing cricket, I went to Redeemer Primary School, and we used to play cricket all the time, and then we used to run along the SEAWALL. I also loved and remember my family had something called story time. So my mother and my father, we would when there was a blackout, because you know Guyana has blackouts.
Of course, all the time. They still do.
They still have blackouts, yeah. We had a blackout.
So you didn't have any when you were filming?
We had a blackout during the filming, but
okay.
we worked with it. We worked with it. During the blackouts, my father and mother would all sit around at a candle, and they would tell us stories. It was story time. Does that still happen? So
did they tell any Jumbie stories?
They told Jumbie stories.
Okay.
They told a story about the half woman, the half fish, that all the back dam stuff, and so for me that was the beginning of my imagination, because as a kid, you hear these stories, and so I think I started to develop a visual sense of storytelling. So that was definitely one of my favorite things, and also I used to getting all the food, all the candy, getting all the candy, like tamarind balls, and and just all the sweets, the fruits.
What's your favorite fruit?
I love mango. I love orara. The 5-finger fruits.
It's called 5-finger.
5-finger, yeah.
Star apple.
Star apple, yeah. Yeah. And people don't know that. Like, Guyana has all these amazing fruits. And in my grandmother's house, she has a backyard that you can get every fresh fruit you can have.
Okay.
And I wanted to have that in the film. In the film, there's a scene, where Malachi, the main character, deals with his grandmother's garden, and she has all these flowers, and then there's all this fruit in the backyard, and I think that's the beauty about the country, because there's fresh fruit, and there's the SEAWALL, there's fresh fish, stuff that we don't get in Brooklyn.
Yeah, I love Guyana fish.
Right?
What's your favorite fish?
Was it escovise?
Yeah, I can't even say that one, but I love gilbaca.
You look at vodka,
I
yeah.
love gilbaca,
Oh
hassa.
God, yeah. And we used to go. But another thing, we used to go fishing. My father used to take us fishing as a family trip, and we would drive the car and then get on a boat and then go out somewhere. I don't remember. And we would get fresh
Just
fish
go fishing.
and make some curry fish.
Awesome.
Why you had to hide those papers, boy? Your mother loves you. She's glad to be with you. We used to go along the SEAWALLs. We used to go in the promenade gardens and see all the beautiful flowers. Then we'd go for a stroll into Bel Air.
how Guyana is here. The platform. Your platform. Their platform. Our platform. Entertainers platform. The platform for you to perform. Join me Sundays at 11:30 right here on NTN Channel 18 Cable 69. Let's revolve talent. It's a date, don't you be late.
So we're putting there today for you, right? And eat out call. Pull up the mug there for me. Why you had to hide those papers, boy? Your mother loves you. She's glad to be with you. We used to go along the SEAWALLs. We used to go in the promenade gardens and see all the beautiful flowers. Then we'd go for a stroll into Bel Air.
So Mason, tell me, after 20 years of being in the United States of America, you returned back home with your crew. How did it feel when you went to the airport, when you landed in the airport?
Wow. When I got to the airport in Guyana, and I think I flew into Georgetown, the first thing that struck me was the smell. Because
Okay.
it was familiar to me because I left when I was 7 years old,
Okay.
and as a filmmaker, like my senses are heightened. I don't know, like I might get smell, touch, and so it was just like it smelled different. Like I can smell the greenery, and it smelled familiar.
You smelled home.
It smelled like home. Yeah, yeah. It felt really familiar, and then we got to the airport, and then hearing all the Guyanese people speaking, because I lost my accent. You can probably hear I lost,
Right.
I lost my accent growing up in New York and living in Los Angeles. But hearing the Guyanese people talk, and it felt good. It felt great.
Now, did you understand everything?
I understood everything.
Okay.
But I think people didn't understand me, because I think I was trying to, my Guyanese accent would try to come out. And I would try to speak, but then they were like, What are you
saying?
What are you saying? Yeah.
Did people think you were faking, or did they really think you couldn't speak Guyanese?
I think people just didn't know what to make of me.
Okay.
They're like, you're Guyanese. I know there's Guyanese in you, but I don't know how. They're trying to figure it out. And I think that happens to a lot of people that go back, sometimes, you're so removed from the culture sometimes that people don't know how to take you.
And tell me about your crew. How did they react to Guyana?
Oh, my crew. My crew had the best time. I took, my DP is His dad is from Jamaica, and his mom is from the U.S., but he grew up in New York.
Okay.
And my sound person, he's from the U.S. completely, and they're both Caucasian. Actually, Kelly is half Caucasian and
He's
and
double.
black. He's double. He's Jamaican, and he mixed it up.
He's mixed up.
He mixed it up. Yeah. So they had a blast. They just felt like they were on vacation the whole time because Guyana is so sunny. I mean, even when the
relaxed,
rain,
right?
it's relaxed. It's relaxed. Even when the rain, we had the rainstorm would come during the shoot. They were ready for it. They loved it. They loved the food. We got into some curry and roti and the fish, and they had a ball. It was actually hard trying to get them to get some work done. I'm like, we need to.
They would just want to have fun.
They wanted to eat and have a good time, and everywhere they went, the Guyanese people were so nice to them.
Yes.
They were, they did make some comments. They were, when the sound guy would go, he'd be like, "Hey, the white boy is here."
White man. Okay. Now, how'd you find your actors?
Oh, great question. Okay, so I was going to make this point very clear. The film is, it's not a documentary. It's a narrative film because a lot of Guyanese people, a lot of people from Trinidad and Barbados that saw the film asked me, is the SEAWALL a documentary or is it a narrative film?
Okay.
I just want to make it very clear. It's a narrative film. And a narrative film is basically something that you write. A documentary is when you put the camera and you just document what's happening in real life. And a narrative, you actually, interpret the story. You know a story, you write it down, you write the dialogue, and you interpret it and you shoot it. So the SEAWALL is a narrative. So I wrote the script. So when I went to Guyana, I had to find actors.
Okay.
So it was all luck.
You just picked up some people on the street?
It was all luck, yeah.
Basically, right?
Basically, I mean...
But I'm sure back home, you must have had so many people that wanted to help you, you know,
Yes.
because Guyanese people are so warm. I'm sure everybody would be like, what's he doing? Oh, can I be in it too? I could just imagine the people
Yeah.
going around and fixing themselves. Well,
You're
what do you think
right.
about me?
You're right. Actually, people really wanted to be part of the film. Like, actually, in one scene, there's a coconut water man, and that's his character, and he actually comes down my grandmother's street.
Okay.
When I was there writing the script, he would come down every day selling fresh coconut. Who gets that? Like, what other country? Like, where do you get that? He comes down the street in his cart, and he cuts the coconut open and gives you the coconut.
Yeah.
So I went up to him. I was like, I'm making a movie. Hey, do you want to be in this movie?
You want to cut some coconut for me?
Yes. He was ready. He
was
came
excited,
back.
right?
He came back the day. He was dressed up. He was ready to go. And I was like, oh, do you have to be too dressed up? I want you to, be yourself. So that was Coconut Water Man. Marjorie, the main character, she's my mother's best friend.
Okay.
She's a retired school teacher from Kitty. And she just is a natural actress, Like, she just has this natural
flair.
Yeah, kind of like you, like very, very outgoing and
Oh, thank
charismatic. Yeah, so I was like, I think she can pull it off. And then Malachi, I went to the Starbuck market and it was a border market, and I saw this little boy running around barefoot, and I was like, who is this? This kid looks interesting. I'm like, who? And then later on that day, I was at Marjorie's house, my mom's friend, retired teacher, in Kitty, and he showed up. She was like, oh, that's my godson.
Really?
Well, Guyana, everybody
Go
knows.
figure. Yeah, everybody knows everybody.
Everybody knows everybody. You walk down the street, they're like, I knew. Yes, I was like, oh, I saw you at the market today. And he's like, yeah, Malachi. And I was like, perfect. They knew each other.
Use
So
them.
I figured they'd be great for the film.
Awesome. So now, when everything was said and done in Guyana, how did you feel? Did you feel accomplished? Did you feel like, you went there, you got what you needed? Do you feel that you want to go back after this?
After we wrapped, the last day of filming was bittersweet, because we had such a great time, and I really wish that we were doing a bigger project, a longer film. We had more time, to tell a bigger story, to show more of the country. I mean, there's so much of Guyana that we wanted to do in the film that we didn't have time to, like the Kaitra Falls and the interior and the gold mines and, you know, just the Amerindian culture, you know. And so when we wrapped, it felt, you know, it was great because we were done with the film, you know, but then I realized that I wanted to do more.
Yeah. Well, I hear another film coming up in you. I can hear it.
Yeah.
In that interior and the sights and the
Yeah.
scenes. So now tell me, you went to Guyana, you shot SEAWALL, but for years you've been in the United States of America.
Yes.
Well-traveled here, studied in LA. Tell me about a little bit about your life here, your experiences here in the U.S., some of the people you've worked with. Tell us a little bit about that, because you have a very impressive resume. I got nervous. I was like, oh my God, he did this.
You
and
got
that, and
nervous,
that.
but you're so good.
was like-
You're so talented. You're gonna, yeah, you're
Oh,
good.
thank you. I was like, and some of my favorite movies, bucket list, you know, Footloose.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, Sex and the City. I'm like reading all the. You tell us a little bit about your resume.
But I worked after undergrad. I worked for a bit with CBS News in journalism because I thought I wanted to just try that and see what that was all about. My family wanted me to have a secure profession, so I thought journalism would be, you know, the way to go. So I did it for a while, and I learned a lot about production. But I realized I wanted to be more creative. So I moved out to LA from New York to Los Angeles, and that's where I hooked up with. I worked at Paramount Pictures, where, you know, my company worked with Sex and the City. We did PR for them. Then I hooked up with this amazing company, producers that did The Bucket List, and they did the TV show Smash that's on right now. And it was all development work because I wanted to be around the best people in the industry to learn about filmmaking, the best way to do it. And they were the top. They won the Oscar for Chicago, you know. So I just went in there and I just learned everything I needed to know. I wanted to learn everything about making a film, marketing a film, selling a film, making it happen. And, you know, so that's how I just got my experience. And then after a while, I wanted to go to school because I figured, you know, education is I think it's one thing to really want to make a film, but I think it's a craft. So you have to know how to make a film. And I wanted to get my master's degree in directing because I wanted to know everything about, you know, production for a set. From lighting to the script to casting to finding the best actors, even if it is in the Starbucks market, you know, and making it all work. So I was so happy when I got accepted to CalArts, the California Institute of the Arts. It's like the #1 school for animation in America.
Oh, okay.
And the film directing program that I was in is it's fairly new. It's about 10 years old, but very well respected and very selective. So it was a very small class. We have a lot of attention. So I learned how to make film by actually working with film and like cutting film like the old way they did it, you know.
Cut and paste.
Cut and paste. Yeah.
I know that SEAWALL was featured in the World Film Premiere Film Festival in France, right?
Yeah,
Cannes,
Cannes, yeah,
right?
yeah.
Tell me about that. I mean, I saw pictures. It was definitely a huge red carpet event. Paparazzi everywhere. Tell me about that. I mean, huge accomplishment, Mason.
Thank you. I mean, it was really great. I mean, it was wonderful to be in France. I was there for 2 weeks, screening the film and getting reactions from people all over the world about it. And I think the one thing I can take away from that experience is that a lot of people didn't know where Guyana was.
Oh.
They were like, "Oh, is that in
Africa?"
Africa?"
Yeah.
They're
That's what they always think.
They're like, is it Ghana? Is it Guyana? I'm like, no, it's Guyana, right? And I was like, it's in South America, and it's the only English-speaking country in South America. And people also remembered Guyana for Jim Jones.
Jim Jones, of course.
Yeah. So with all the the great reaction from the film, we got a really great reaction from the film in France and in London at the Caribbean Film Corner. They're amazing, and we screened it in the Bahamas. It did really well. We got great reactions, but I saw this as an opportunity to sort of be like a creative, like social ambassador, right? Like just to kind of let people know just what
Guyana is, right?
And to let them know that we're not just like we're Afro, we're Indian, we're different nationalities.
Amerindians.
We're Amerindians. There's Asian culture.
We have the longest one-drop falls in the world.
There's all this great stuff. So yeah, so definitely being in France was great, and screening the film around the world was great, and I think it inspired me to make the feature. So I'm excited to raise some money, and I need help with that from the community and everybody that's out there to raise funds and really make a film that we can all be proud of.
Mason, tell me about that. I mean, fundraising for these films. Where are you getting the money to make it?
That's a great question. It's difficult. It's very, as you know, like doing the work. I mean, your show is great. You're doing a great job, and like your crew is fantastic.
Thank you.
But it's a lot to put on a production and to make this stuff happen with the lights and everything. And I was fortunate. I found a fiscal sponsor. There's an organization called Frog. It's a weird name, Frog, but it's Friends and Retired Peace Corps Volunteers of Guyana.
Okay.
And they're a non-for-profit based in Washington, D.C. in the U.S.
Okay.
And they're all people that at some point in their life went to Guyana and volunteered. Whether they lived in the interior or in Georgetown or in Campbell, wherever, they spent a significant amount of time working within the community to make it better and to learn about the Guyanese culture. So this organization is amazing, and they're around. And so I found them on the internet, and I approached them and I said, look, I'm making a film about Guyana, and I want you to help me. And they were ready and able because they had a tax ID, so people can make donations to the organization and get it's a tax credit. And then they were able to give that fund to the production so we can go to Guyana to make a film with the people in the community.
I saw that.
We all know El Dorado. We've all had some El Dorado rum.
Of course.
And it's really good.
We were rated the best rum in the world for like, 5-7 years straight.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
So El Dorado rum has been so generous, and they're donating complimentary cocktails all night for this benefit. They're making a specialty cocktail for the SEAWALL benefit, and it's just going to be amazing.
Are they going to make a cocktail called the SEAWALL?
I think they might do something called the SEAWALL.
Awesome.
So you have to be there. You have to be at the benefit to get there. You have to donate.
Right.
But if you can't be there, there's also another opportunity to see the film if people want to check out the SEAWALL, because the benefit will be the last time we're going to screen the film publicly. You can. I signed a deal with a distribution company that deals. They basically support filmmakers from the Caribbean diaspora, and they distribute the films. So it's called Annecy Studios.
Okay.
And
where are they based out of?
They're based out of New York City.
Okay.
In the U.S. They also have roots in Guyana and in Jamaica. So, but you can get on their website at annecystudios.com, and you can find the SEAWALL, and you can purchase it and download if you want to watch it.
Sounds great. I think everybody at home, if you can't make the benefit on April 6th, definitely check out the site and download SEAWALL and check it out. Now, Mason, tell me, would you say being a film producer is good money making? Is it profitable? Is it a profitable business, what you're doing?
Being an artist is never profitable.
In the beginning.
In the beginning.
In the beginning, right?
I mean, I think we all know. I think we all can recognize, like, the film industry. You can make a lot of money in it, but not in the beginning. I mean, I'm doing this because I love telling stories. I love my craft. I love sharing just a slice of life for someone else to see. And so right now it's a sacrifice. Right now it's, I'm not making a lot of money at it, but I'm motivated by my passion because I believe in it, and like I tell my family all the time, the Guyanese parents, like, oh, when you have a master's degree, you should get a job at a bank and make a lot of money.
Oh boy.
But I'm taking a risk. I feel like it's risky. You know, I'm taking a risk because I believe in this. I believe in the work that I want to do, and I feel like I'm out there. You know, and I'm looking for support, and I know that ultimately the work will serve a greater purpose.
Awesome. Now, if there's one film producer that you could work with right now, who would that be?
Oh, that's a great question.
Oh.
Wow, you're prepared. Wow. I mean, I would love to. I mean, everyone wants to work with Spielberg. I would love to work with Steven Spielberg. I would love to work with, I don't know. I mean, because I'm an independent filmmaker, so it's like I would like to collaborate. Like I love directors more because I'm a director, and like I would like to, there are people I admire. The filmmakers I admire. Like I love, Abbas Kiarostami. He's an Iranian filmmaker. He's my favorite filmmaker of all time because he started out in the film industry many years ago making films in his country, his home country of Iran. And he would just go and shoot and just tell stories. And that's all he did. And my favorite film of his is called Where's My Friend's Home? And it just basically followed this boy walking through his town in Iran. And he sort of changed or affected the view of the world of Iran through cinema. And that's sort of like what I would like to do in Guyana. And even with when I shoot a film in New York or in Brooklyn, like wherever, like I want to be able to as an independent filmmaker, through my experience and my lens, be able to craft and shape the way someone sees the world. And so the question is, what producers I want to work with? I mean, I don't know. I mean, whoever likes whatever I'm doing, but ultimately I think there are people that I admire and I like their work.
Now, if you're making a movie tomorrow and no budget.
Nothing.
Unlimited. No, I mean, you have all the money. Sorry.
Really?
All the money in the world.
Everything? All the money?
Everything. You have everything.
You're going to give me the money? Who's giving me the money?
Spielberg is giving you the money.
Okay.
Who's going to be your main actor and main actress in this movie?
Wow, that's a great question. There's so many. Well, first of all, there's so many talented actors and actresses in the film industry that I would love to work with. To put on that list, there's so many.
One actor, one actress.
Actors I love to work with. My favorite actors, Omari Hardwick. I would love to work with Journey Somaliette, who was in, you probably know from Eve's Bayou. She's just talented. One of my favorite actresses of all time, and she's Lisa Nicole Carson. You've known her from Devil in a Blue Dress, Ally McBeal, ER, TV, but she's done a bunch of live. There's just so many actors, actresses and actors I would love to work with, and I think it depends on a project.
And what type of film would this be? Would it be a horror, a romance, a thriller? What type of movie would this be?
Well, I think my focus is definitely, I like to do dramatic narratives. Like I like to do dramatic films. I think because I've been a writer. I was an English major at undergrad, in college. I love the dramatic stories that are transformational, that sort of you can see a character go through a change. So definitely dramatic. I'm more into dramatic storytelling. Okay. But I also like television, so I'll be interested in doing like a television dramatic show.
What do you think about reality TV?
Reality TV, you're really going in. Reality TV, I think some of it is really good.
Okay.
Some of reality TV is really good. I like when you can document someone's life like in person. So some of it is really good.
So I know recently there was the Guyana Film Festival.
Yes.
What did you think about some of those short films?
I thought that was great. So the Sydney Guyana, I think I think some of it screened here in the U.S.
Yes.
And they worked with filmmakers in Guyana. I thought it was a great idea.
Okay.
I didn't get to see all of them, but the ones I did see, I thought it was just really great that young people had the opportunity to tell their stories.
Right.
You know, to really put themselves out there and show parts of Guyana that we just don't see. So I thought it was really great. And I think part of what I'm trying to do with the Mason Richards Film Fellowship is to find students that are already interested in storytelling in Guyana at the University of Guyana as a partnership, and help them, you know, tell that story cinematically, like figure out the best way to go about it in terms of shooting it, in terms of writing it, casting, that kind of thing.
So when are you going to be starting that fellowship program?
So the Mason Richards Fellowship just came out of a necessity. Like I
Okay.
told you, when I went to Guyana,
There was nobody.
there was nobody?
No, you couldn't find anybody.
I couldn't find it, but there are people, right?
There are tons of people.
You tell me there's tons of,
Yeah.
Guyana has TV stations, there's tons of people around.
There's tons. There's NTN Guyana, there's NCN, there's so many. There's MTV. There are a lot of channels, yeah.
I know. When I went as an independent filmmaker, I couldn't find anybody, so I basically, found.
And you
students.
weren't far, Kitty, right? You were
I was
right
in Kitty.
right?
I was around the corner.
You were right around from NCN and NTN. You weren't too far.
I was right there. I was right there. Maybe I was too shy. I don't know. But I was. I went to. I had a cousin that went to University of Guyana, so I had her get a couple of students, and then we found some kids that were hanging around. They saw the camera, and they wanted to know what we were doing. So I was like, we're making a movie. I live in New York. I live in LA. I'm making a film, and we basically recruited them. We gave them a stipend, and we told them the basics of filmmaking, and they were able to work on the film. So you'll see there was a kid that was working the slate, they were helping with the lights, and they were all part of the crew, and it was so great that they were part of the production,
And how did they do?
They were
Did they
good.
get an A?
They get an A+.
A+,
And that's
okay.
why we want to continue that. That's why we want to do this partnership with the University of Guyana. So the Mason Richards Film Fellowship is basically the same thing. It's just organized. We're going to give a stipend to students at the University of Guyana who are interested in working on the film. So when we raise the funds and we're ready to go shoot in location in Guyana, they'll be the ones to work with me personally on the film. And they'll have a credit. They will know as much as I can tell them.
Yeah, and you're going to influence these children that maybe in the future they'll become future film producers as well.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so.
So Mason, tell me, in 5 years, where are we going to see you?
Oh, in 5 years. Hopefully I'll come back on your show, and
Okay.
we'll be on location somewhere. We'll be at the Kaitra Falls in the top somewhere.
Sounds good,
With a
sounds
camera. Right? We should do that.
Yeah, that sounds really exciting.
Wouldn't that be nice to do a live show?
Yeah.
Maybe not live because the sound might be bad. But in Kaitra Falls, where we can in 5 years talk about the success of the SEAWALL.
Yes, that's going to be
That-
really exciting.
But in 5 years, I want to continue. I just want to be in a place, honestly, where I know that I'm continuing to contribute to the world by making films that matter to people.
Awesome. Well, Mason, it was great having you on the show.
Oh,
I wish
thank
you
you.
all the best
Thank you
in
so much.
SEAWALL and in all your future films.
Thank you.
And I'm sure in 5 years, I'm going to be seeing you in really big places.
Thank you so much. It was a
Thank you.
pleasure. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Now, was I really the first Afro?
Yeah, we didn't
Guyanese?
mention that. Yes, you were the first Afro-Guyanese on Let's Talk with Lakshmee.
The first.
The first.
The first. And hopefully
So-
not the last.
No, definitely not.
We got to
the
bring it all
last.
together. We have to bring it all together.
Exactly. We need a lot more of our Afro-Caribbeans, Indo-Caribbeans, Indian
Indian,
Caribbeans.
yeah.
There are Caucasian Caribbeans.
Yeah.
There are Spanish Caribbeans.
Yeah.
So
Let's
we're
do
gonna
it.
just
Let's do it.
mix it up like
Mix it up.
your DR, yeah.
Yes. I want to say thank you. You're fantastic. Thank you so much for having me on. This has been great.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are you ready? The Divya Jyoti Association proudly presents the New York Diwali Nagar, the biggest and brightest Diwali celebration in New York. Come celebrate our dazzling Hindu Festival of Lights. The luminous festivities begin at 3 p.m. with a beautiful Lakshmee Hawan. At 5 p.m. it's food, henna, face painting and radiant Diwali booths. Best decorated booths also win cash prizes. And at 6 p.m. is the grand Diwali cultural show. For more info, call Ramesh 917-846-3899 or Lalita 917-939-0156. Also visit our website diwalimotorcade.com. Bring your Diwali lights, bring your Diwali spirits and celebrate Diwali on Saturday, October 26th at the Arya Spiritual Center grounds on 133rd Street between Liberty and 104 Avenues. Free, free, free! Happy Diwali!
2 months ago, after my mother's hospitalization, the doctors wanted to put her on hospice. And I'm like, they deemed her terminal. And I saw Mr. Thakur, I think the founder, on TV, and he was advertising this Indian community in Kings Harbor. It's a great Indian community where my mother feels at home and she expresses her happiness to me whenever I come.
I know when I come, I feel happy. I stay couple and I see everybody, and I'm so happy.
I brought my mother here like a month and a half ago, and I haven't regretted my decision. It's one of the best decisions I've made for my mother. It's a home away from home.
For all your special private and professional occasions, no event is too big or too small. We cover it all. Contact the professional source for all your party or special occasion needs. We have you covered at Star Party Rentals. Call us 516-239-2242. Please mention Let's Talk with Lakshmee for discount pricing.
Elegant floral design. We can help you beautify your event. No occasion is too big or too small. We specialize in floral decor and party planning for every event. Please call 718-322-9786. Please use promo code Lakshmee for a discount.
When thinking of shipping a barrel, box or sending money back home, think of the name you can trust. Think Laparkan. Laparkan has been serving our community for over 25 years, and a significant portion of every dollar spent at Laparkan goes to work in our community here and back home. Together, we are making a difference. For your shipping and money transfer needs, call Laparkan. Laparkan, the name we can trust.
Getting ready to plan that special day? Well, the most important thing is capturing that special moment. No matter what the occasion is, big or small, Digital Photo by Buddy can capture it all. For all of your memorable events, whether it is a wedding, graduation, anniversary, sweet 16, puja, baby shower, or 9-day, Buddy will do it all. Just call Buddy at 917-741-9876. Digital Photo by Buddy, capturing your memories. Please mention you saw this ad on Let's Talk with Lakshmee.